I'm going on a trip next week, and I'll be out for about a week, which means I need to figure out which knit or crochet projects to do while I'm on my trip. I usually crochet on planes because I can no longer read books on planes without getting really, really bad motion sickness. It's even hard for me sometimes to read captions on movies if I'm on a flight where I can watch movies. But one of my flights is about 3 hours long, and man, I need to have something to keep me entertained and keep my hands busy. So I'm thinking of taking these skeins of yarn with me. This is Hobie's Halloween sock wool. I have a ton of this, and I've been kind of scrambling to figure out what to do with all of it. And since this will be kind of on-the-go type projects, traveling projects, I think I'm just gonna make some basic beanie hats in these colors. I haven't done that before with this yarn, so I'm really curious to see how it'll turn out, what the colors will look like, with these colorways, and how that'll look like in beanie or form. So I think that'll be fun. I'm really looking forward to that. And that'll be something simple to do that I don't have to think too much about when I'm on the go and doing other stuff on my trip. I did find a yarn store where I'm going, so I'm definitely going to visit that, see what they have going on there. I think that'll be a lot of fun. And I think I might get some yarn there to do something kind of special with. But, yep, this is what I am thinking, and I'm really looking forward to that. This is what I have after the first of my flights down to New Orleans for a conference. My first flight was 3 hours, and since it was in the afternoon, I had plenty of natural sunlight coming in through the windows on the plane to crochet. Definitely not close to looking like a hat yet, but I realized, of course, using lighter weight yarn and a smaller hook, it's gonna take a while to get to the circumference that I want. There's that. I also changed some of my project plans that I brought with me. Instead of that second skein of Hobie Halloween yarn, I brought Hobie Horizon. I've been working on a blanket at home, and I thought, what, I haven't worked on this in a while. I should just go ahead and bring it with me while it's still small. I can easily put it into my backpack that I use as my personal item when I fly. But here's that. Worked with corner to corner crochet, which I'm really enjoying. Yep, but I've made my coffee, and I think I'm going to reevaluate where I was with this hat and work on that while I have coffee, and then I'm gonna go meet up with some friends for some adventuring.
I'll be right with you.
guys with the windows. Well,
That big
Just a heads up, if I sound really different in this recording, it's because I am sick. Whatever it is, I have not gotten over it yet, but here we are. And I have unpacked the yarn that I bought in New Orleans. So, when I was planning my trip, I went ahead and looked for a local yarn shop to visit because I thought that would be super fun. I went to the Quarter Stitch, which is very close to Jackson Square, so it's really easy to find. And I had such a wonderful experience in this shop. So I went in with a particular project in mind to get the yarn for there, to be my special New Orleans project when I came home. And so I knew how much yarn I need. I have two patterns in mind. I knew how much yarn I would need as far as yardage, so I needed approximately 400 yards. And I knew I need a worsted weight yarn, and I needed it in a color that would be really good for some cable work. So I'm going to do a cable knit scarf. But I didn't have a color in mind. And I'd also been thinking maybe I would get yarn for making a project for somebody else. That didn't happen. I got yarn just for me. And so I go in, and it's not a large shop, but there's so much to look at, and it's all so pretty. There's so many different options for yarn, but they also have a lot of like cross stitch and needle point supplies in there as well. So there are patterns all over the walls. It's a little bit overwhelming, but there's just so much to look at. It's a lot of fun. So I looked around, trying to see what kind of yarn like jumped out at me that might be good for my project that I'm thinking of making. And then I asked the lady who was working there, and I gave her kind of all the details of what I was looking for. And she's like, well, and I also told her like what colors I usually gravitate towards for myself, which is like dark reds, various shades of gray, and black. That's kind of my usual color palette that I think that looks good on me. So she pointed me towards 2 different shades of red Malabrigo. And I actually went with the lighter shade. Did not know that Malabrigo is hand dyed, so that was like an extra little treat. But I went with the shade that just kind of spoke to me a little bit more, I guess. I also got this nifty little yarn cutter. So you can see here the blade is super tiny. So this is okay to go through TSA. So this is going to go in my notions bag, and this will be really good for traveling with my knit and crochet projects in the future. But I'm super pleased with this, and I can't really wait to get started on my project, but it will have to wait. I have so many other projects going on right now and other things that I need to do for all of my PhD and dissertation type stuff, research, lab work, good stuff. Yep, but I just wanted to talk about that experience because it was so fun and so nice. And I have been meaning, especially this year, to make more projects for myself, because that's something that I don't often do unless it's a plushie, but then I end up just having a ton of plushies. So I'm glad to be making something different for myself this time. Yep, but I think that is it for my New Orleans craft vlog. I thought I would end up filming more, maybe crocheting more in my hotel room, but that did not happen because I'd crochet a little bit in the mornings as I was putting myself together, having my coffee, watching some TV. I thought I would crochet more when I got back to my hotel room in the evenings, but I was so busy and just so exhausted. I would get to my hotel and just crash. I was so wiped out. But did make some good progress on that beanie that I'm working on in Hobie's Halloween sock wool. So that's turning out pretty cool, and I will post more about that maybe along the way if you want to see that along the way, but also when I am done with that. Yep, but it has been fun.